Hi, I'm a former higher ed CMO, and this confession might be the one that convinces you that you actually don't want to follow me anymore. I got really big into Pokemon Go when it first came out in 2016, and it came out at a really perfect time for me to learn and explore the city that I had just moved to. So when I heard about University of Nevada at Reno doing something they're calling a college town pass, where students who visit their campus get to download this app and explore the city of Reno and Lake Tahoe and kind of get a sense of what the city's going to be like, I absolutely knew that I had to have the architect behind that on my show. So I am really excited for this episode. It introduces Justin Bouldt, who's the Assistant Director of Admissions at University of Nevada, Reno. He has been there for 15 years in various admissions roles. And I think there's a lot of takeaways from this episode, regardless of what kind of environment that your campus sits in, whether it's urban, rural, suburban. I think there's a lot to take away from this that could really make your campus tour experience a little more unique. So I hope you enjoyed this show, and I hope that you do not abandon me because of my Pokemon Go confession. You're listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO, the podcast where marketing minds in higher ed come to pull back the curtain, spill a little tea, and talk honestly about what it takes to market in this industry. I'm Jaime Hunt, the founder of Solve Higher Ed, author of Heart Over Hype, and a former campus CMO who spent more than 2 decades navigating the weird, wonderful world of higher education marketing. This show is for the strategists, the storytellers, the change agents, and anyone who has ever tried to get Faculty Senate on board with a rebrand. Here we get candid about the challenges and share the ideas that are shaping the future of our field. Sound like your kind of conversation? Then let's get into it. Hey, Justin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
I am really excited about the project that we're talking about today. You developed something called the College Town Pass, and I would love it, instead of me trying to explain what that is, I would love it if you could explain to listeners what the College Town Pass was.
Nevada's College Town Pass is basically a campus visit enhancement for folks that come and visit our campus. It's a curated list of the best college spots that are off campus. You know, we have this tremendous campus visit program called Nevada Bound. It's like our flagship campus visit program. And, you know, through that program, we do a really good job, I think, of showing students and families the classrooms and the campus and all the different amenities that we have here. But one thing that was missing was this engagement with the broader community, with the city of Reno, with the Reno Tahoe area, and helping students and families really understand what it means to be a student at the university. Because we know that student experience is going to be, well, mostly on the campus. There's going to be a part of that is also off campus. And so we were able to put together, through this partnership with a company called Bandwango, this Nevada College Town Pass, which is this curated list of all the best college spots in and around the city of Reno. And the way that we were able to kind of incentivize students to use it is we have this cool point system where students can use their phone to check in using like the geo markers on their phone, and they earn points when they do that. And so as they go around and they explore the city and they go to these really cool college spots, they get to collect points that they can then redeem at our welcome center for swag.
That's awesome. So the audience is primarily the prospective students and their families.
Exactly.
So can you tell me a little bit about some of the results that you saw after doing this project?
Definitely. We had a few different goals that we were looking at. We wanted to see folks actually using the platform and taking advantage of it. I feel like sometimes we ask a lot of prospective students and their families throughout the recruitment process, throughout the college admissions process, asking folks, of course, to complete applications and pay application fees and stuff like that. But also simple things like, read this email, respond to this text message, fly out to campus and take a tour. We ask a lot. And so the first thing that we're really looking at is, can we get families to recognize the value and actually engage with the platform, engage with this pass, and really use it to really drive our yield rates? That's really important to us. strategically right now at the university is we've been able to pretty successfully grow the number of applications that we collect, growing the number of admitted students. And so now we really needed to turn our attention towards, okay, well, how can we make sure that more of our admitted students are actually enrolling at the university? And so we wanted to see that yield rate go up, particularly among students that were using this. And then the last goal is we just wanted to kind of broaden our use. We kind of started with a pilot of this program and really deployed it within that program called Nevada Bound that I mentioned. And so once we did that really in the yield season this last year, then we had a goal of kind of taking it more broadly. And we wanted students to be able to find it other ways, families to be able to use it earlier in the process. So if they just come and take a regular tour, over the summer, before even they've applied to the university, juniors and sophomores, et cetera. So those were kind of our big goals that we had at the outset.
That's awesome. And what kind of metrics do you have in terms of accomplishing those goals?
Yeah. Oh, great question. First of all, we saw a fantastic usage rate. We set a goal of we wanted 20% of students to utilize the platform. And so what we mean by that is when we have our Nevada Bound Campus Visit program, we're kind of serving them an introduction to this Nevada's College Town Pass all throughout the process, when they go to register for the event, after they sign up for event, and the event reminders. And even when they come to campus, we kind of talk about what the pass is, and we put up a big QR code on the screen. And so we said, okay, if we can get 20% of Nevada Bound attendees to actually pull out their phones, use the QR code, or otherwise access the app through one of our emails or text message communications, then we would consider that a success. And so we actually blew well past that. We were above 30% of students that came on Nevada Bound that actually used the platform. So we were thrilled about that. The yield rate, we actually saw 74% of the applicants that used our Nevada College Town Pass ultimately accepted their admissions to the university, which is a dramatic increase over the yield rate that we have for our regular freshman class throughout the rest of the funnel. And in fact, we're able to kind of pull apart the Nevada Bound students that came to this campus visit program that didn't utilize the app, and we saw even a 4.4% increase above those students. So we saw it really helped dramatically drive our yield rate. And when we talk about some of these numbers, it's important to note that, even for example, this 4.4% increase compared to Nevada Bound attendees, this is a program that we do, many, many dozens of times throughout the academic cycle. It serves thousands of students. And so, those percentage point increases really translate to a significant increase in enrollment.
That's amazing. The whole concept of College Town Pass and exploring the area that the college is in is such a smart idea for campuses, because I feel like we often get very insular and we think about our campus and giving a campus tour and kind of forget that the students aren't going to spend 100% of their time on a campus, and that the community that surrounds the university or the college is every bit as important, I think, in their decision making. If they feel welcome, if they feel like there's stuff to do, that there's potentially jobs or internships that they could have. And I'm really curious, was Reno and Lake Tahoe so important to showcase? What made you think that this is something we need to be doing?
Exactly as you said, it's kind of this intuitive thing that we all understand when you're thinking about the college search process, is that, well, yeah, of course, the local area, the city, the setting for the campus is important. And, student data bears this out as well. When you look at survey data and you see what students are interested in, that's often near the top of the list, is the setting for the campus, beyond just the campus itself. So we know that it's important, but it really sharply came into focus for me when I was working with a prospective student just a couple years ago. And there was neck and neck between them deciding to come to the University of Nevada or deciding to go to another university. And ultimately, they decided to go to that other university. And so, of course, I wanted to talk to the family and say, congratulations, of course, I'm really happy for you in this next step. But what ultimately helped make that decision for you? And they talked about this incredible campus visit experience that they had at the university they ultimately decided to attend. And they went to their admitted student weekend, and they had this component where they got to go to a farmer's market and kind of explore the local city. And they talked about just what a great opportunity that was for them to get more familiar with the city and really see themselves and envision themselves as a student, not just on that campus, but within the setting of that area. So I thought to myself, gosh, that makes perfect sense. We know this is important to students kind of in a theoretical area because we see the data, but here's a real glaring hole in some of our programming, some of our messaging, and some of our marketing. And so we need to fill that. To kind of expand on that further, what makes Reno Tahoe so unique is there's a few different things. I feel like there are some cities, there are some regions where it just seems like a super easy layup, like what you do off campus, right? San Francisco State University, for example. San Francisco is a world-class metropolitan city. I think it's easy for folks to understand, okay, I'm near the beach, I'm near these world-class museums, I'm near all this culture. And so it's kind of easy to understand. But with a city like Reno, I don't think it is quite that intuitive that people really understand what makes it such a cool, unique, and interesting place to live. So there was an opportunity there to introduce people to the cool establishments that we have around campus that serve students, the best, coffee shops and restaurants and bookstores, of course, but also the cool hiking trails and the access to the Sierra Nevada mountains and the access to Lake Tahoe. And so I feel like there was just a real opportunity to kind of educate folks on what makes that cool and unique and interesting. And then also, frankly, every city, I shouldn't say every city, but a lot of cities kind of come baked in with this brand that's just kind of is out there in the zeitgeist, right? And
Mhm.
so Reno, like one TV show that is like the bane of my existence is Reno 911, right? From Comedy Central. I don't know if you remember that
Yep.
show from back in the day. It was hilarious and it was a great show. People don't watch Reno 911 and walk away from that going, oh man, what a great college town. And so there was a
No.
unique opportunity there for us too. It's like, okay, so let's combat this kind of brand that exists in the zeitgeist. Let's introduce people to an area where maybe it doesn't come naturally. What makes it so cool and interesting?
I loved Reno 911. I love those kind of shows. And that's an excellent point. Like, I would never watch that and think like, this is the ideal college town for me. That's I could see it being the bane of your existence. And I could see, I mean, I've worked at a couple of rural institutions, a couple of urban institutions, and a couple of like mid-size city institutions. And I think honestly, some of the rural institutions absolutely like trying to where are the best hiking trails, where's the what's going on at the different restaurants, and what are your amenities in the town, definitely could see it. But I think some of the mid-sized cities where it's like there's no TV show about Winston-Salem, there's no, and at least there's not Winston-Salem 911 causing additional problems. But like you're saying about San Francisco, there's no like, oh, everybody knows what there is to do in the town. I could see it being incredibly valuable in both of those use cases. And I'm curious, how did you pick what you put in the college pass?
We started small, which was really just me trying to come up with and relying on my network and my experience and thinking about, okay, what were the places way back in the day when I was a student? Where did I spend time as a student? But then also I kind of utilized my network, talking to friends, talking to colleagues. I live in this community too, and I'm around it. So I see these are where the college students are. This is where this is where it's all happening. And so you kind of start with that just to get a baseline, and then you have to go to the students, and the students are like the most important thing to get that direct experience. And they did a great job of kind of looking at my list and going, okay, yeah, these places, they're cool, but we don't actually really spend much time there. But here are some places maybe that aren't on your radar that we do spend time at. The foundational question we ask ourselves is, what do our prospective students and their families, what types of places would they want to spend time when they're here visiting our city for just a brief amount of time? Because, right, like there's some like kind of easy answers, like, yeah, a lot of students, they love going like to the local movie theater on Tuesdays for $5 movie night or whatever. I got that a few times. Students love doing that. It's like walking distance from the campus. But realistically, it's a family that comes in from out of town that wants to kind of see what's it like to be a student here in the area. That doesn't make nearly as much sense as like, what's the cool restaurant? What's the best coffee shop?
Mhm.
I have an hour and I want to see the city. I want to see the region. Well, here's a cool hiking trail, or I want to go to Lake Tahoe. Centering the prospective student family experience for the way that they would be using the pass. But then, of course, you really are bringing that current student perspective to the forefront.
How many different spots did you have on the in the pass?
It's a moving target. It's always changing. I think we started with about 2 dozen, and I bet
Oh,
we probably have
wow.
close to 50 now.
Do they have to do anything when they check in besides like check a button? Is there, like a picture they have to take or anything like that?
So currently, the way that we have our pass set up is it is just a GPS check-in where they use basically the GPS on their phone. But there are lots of really cool options and ones that we probably are going to implement. Like there's one where you can kind of like hide a QR code in a cool spot and make them scan the QR code, for example. We've thought about doing that, at some cool places around town and kind of making them a little bit more hidden and fun. There's a lot of different options, but yeah, we use the GPS tool primarily.
Are you familiar with geocaching?
I am, yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what it makes me think, like the hidden QR code makes me think of like hiking through the woods and trying to find like where somebody has tucked a geocache in a rock under a rock or something.
It's so funny you
It's
say that. I mean, I had that exact thought. We have this trail called like the Monkey Rock Trail up in Lake Tahoe. And I'm trying to think, okay, how can I get a QR code out there without like littering this beautiful area? And geocache is actually a good example because they do these really cool, these cool kind of hidden things that blend in with the environment that aren't super intrusive. So I'm gonna take that and use some geocaching inspiration.
I love that. I think I was talking to someone who was saying like they had like a quiz that they had folks do to kind of prove that they were at the location. But I guess the GPS location, that would give you that indicator. And then you said that people could turn in their points for, was it like swag at your admission events, or how did that work?
Yeah. So we have students, they get these points on the platform, and then they can come back and kind of spend them and redeem it for swag at our welcome center. So the welcome center is kind of our forward facing office for our office for prospective students. Conveniently, it's a place where prospective students can get the answers to all of their questions, and we have staff there. So it's a good place to bring prospective students back to. But when they come there, they can cash in some of their points and they can redeem it for these different levels of swag. So of course, like one check-in, 1 point, or however many points we're assigning to that, you can get a cool Nevada sticker and you can decorate your laptop, your water bottle, or whatever. But as you accumulate more points, you get better stuff. You can get a cool Nevada t-shirt, cool Nevada sunglasses. One thing that I thought was pretty clever is we made the top prize like a mystery box prize. So you had to get, I think you had to check in like 5 places to get access to the mystery box. And then students do get to come and they get to get a really nice thing, whether it's like a blanket or just something a little bit more high end, a really nice piece of swag. And the reason we do the mystery box is because it's just kind of whatever we have in inventory. We are always buying swag for different things, for a raffle here, for a counselor event here, whatever. And so we just accumulate this big box of like cool, interesting swag items that's just too much to dish out to anybody. But so now we got to deploy it that way, and students enjoy that. They're like, they get excited. They come in and say, okay, I got enough points for the mystery box. What do I got? And we let them pick.
Southeast Missouri State University needed to launch more targeted campaigns faster, yet they were bogged down by manual campaign builds, slow approvals, and vendor overload. With Element 451, they eliminated 5 vendor tools and gained marketing superpowers in one platform. They saw a 13% increase in applications, processed applications within 2 days, and achieved 30 to 35% email open rates. The impact was personalized, automated campaigns running at scale without the drag. Ready to churn your next campaign around in hours, not weeks? Try an agent today at element451.com/agents. I love that. I'm thinking about our swag closet, I guess I would call it, that was just full of like, here's 7 plushies of the mascot, and here's 42 extra large t-shirts, and here's 2 random blankets, and you're trying to figure out what to do with some of this leftover stuff. That is really smart. And do you have a sense of like how many the average student checked into?
Oh, great question. I have to go look, and luckily Bandwago has a cool platform where I could run that report. I don't know off the top of my head. I remember looking at it, especially towards the end of our cycle here, and just being really impressed by the amount of people. There's one thing to get people to sign up and just look at the app and engage with it and see the different places. But and lots of people are going to use that, and they're going to go visit the cool coffee shop, but they're not going to check in. They're not going to redeem points, whatever. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe that's going to be an issue too, but it really wasn't. We had, a lot of students that actually were checking in, collecting points, redeeming for swag. Yeah. I don't know what the average number was, but it was a non-insignificant amount for sure.
Well, and that impact on yield is incredible. I mean, and when I look at some of my clients' trends over the past maybe 8 to 10 years, it's like this steady decline in yield. And there's, myriad reasons for that. To see an improvement in yield is something that I feel like we don't see all that much. What do you think about the program led the students to actually enroll?
Yeah, it's the heart of so many things that we're asking ourselves in this business right now. Because, like you said, the tides are turning. I think that so many colleges and universities are experiencing exactly what you're talking about. Is students are just applying more places and being admitted to more places, and so institutions are watching that yield rate go down. But so I think there's a couple things that made it so impactful here. First of all, we tied it to an excellent campus visit experience. I don't want to discount that fact. The fact that we were giving people an introduction to this pass and the broader context of this Nevada Bound Campus Visit program, I think was really important because the Campus Visit program is an opportunity to go into a classroom setting, go into a residence hall, eat lunch in the cafeteria, engage with faculty. So that plays into it. But again, we were able to separate out that effect, and we still did see a significant increase just with the platform alone. But I think they both are kind of speaking to the same thing, which is that students need to be able to envision themselves at your university. They need to be able to feel confident and feel empowered to make that decision. But going to college, like we all know, is such a big transition period in young people's lives. Making the transition from high school to college, from youth to adulthood, from living at home to to living somewhere else, it can be really, really daunting. And so people need to be able to see your institution as a place that they feel comfortable and confident to achieve their goals. And it's the same question all throughout the cycle. It just changes a little bit as you get towards the end of it, right? Because every kind of student journey cycle, I feel like, starts with a very basic tenet of that, which is, do you have my major? What they're really getting at is like, is this a place where I can achieve my goals? You need to answer that question in order for me to know that. And so it starts simple, but at the end, it's a little bit more nuanced. Does this feel like a place where I can be comfortable and confident and happy and work towards the things that I see for my future? And so by putting students physically on your campus and taking them through classrooms, you do that. But you can't ignore, just as you said, that huge other part of the student experiences. They need to see themselves in your city. They need to see themselves, at all these other places that your students are spending time. And so the more effectively that you put students into those areas, and the more that your students can see themselves there, it makes that decision easier for them, I think.
I've somehow gotten on College Choice Talk. So I get served videos from students who are like, these are the 5 schools I'm considering. These are the 10 schools I'm considering. And they lay out the pros and cons of each school on a slide, and then you scroll through the slides. I never skip one of those because I find it absolutely fascinating and enlightening, the kinds of things students put on those pros and cons lists. But I will say, I do see a lot of students mention the town that the institution is in, or the region that the institution is in, as being either a pro or a con. And I think what you did really gives those students an opportunity to actually walk around and have a reason to walk around. I used to be a really big Pokémon Go player.
Okay.
Like that was like my jam. And it made me explore the city that I had just moved to, because I had like a reason to go to this different area and to catch Pokemon. I mean, if we're going to be honest, that's weird. I own it as a weird thing, but it gave me a motivator to check out a part of the town that I had moved to. So it makes perfect sense to do something like this.
I love that you mentioned that, because it speaks to this other truth. Whether your institution is doing something like this or not, the students they're going to do their own research. They are going to spend time in your city. This was another thing that we saw in like feedback before and after this Nevada College Town Pass. It wasn't always positive feedback when they just kind of themselves, under their own power, went out and explored the city. Because, you can imagine a family comes in from out of town and they just take a cab to the downtown area. They stay in a hotel. For us, a lot of the big downtown hotels are in the casinos. And maybe they just walk around your downtown core, and they might walk away going, gosh, I didn't really love that casino hotel. I didn't really love the part of downtown that I walked through. And it's like, prospective students and families, when they come and visit you, they're going to do this, whether you are guiding them or not. They're going to find their way. They're going to find their own lunch spot. They're going to find their own way to fill their time while they're in your city. Maybe they're going to do Pokemon Go, and hopefully there are Pokemon in cool places in the city that your university is in. That was the other big thing for us, is like, the students and the families, they're going to experience Reno. They're going to experience the region one way or another. They're going to do their own thing. This gives us an opportunity to capture that and to, again, kind of curate that experience and show them these are not just the places that we want you to go, that we think make the city look cool or interesting, but this is actually a good representation of where you're going to find college students. You go to these places on a Friday afternoon, on a Saturday morning, whatever, you're going to see college students on this trailhead. I promise you. You go to this coffee shop, at 10 a.m. on Thursday, on a school day, you're going to see college students there waiting to get their coffee. And so, yeah, family, students, they're going to see your city anyway. It's just a question of, do you play a part in that experience?
Well, you're kind of curating the experience that they have. And I honestly could see a lot of value to that in recruiting employees too. I had somebody who applied for a very senior level position in my organization at a previous role, and they came into the city and made a choice to go check out something that should have been I'm trying to not name which institution I was at, so I'm trying not to give it away. They made a choice to go check out something that was in a neighborhood that was very, very, very rough. And the name of what they were trying to check out, it sounded like this will be a beautiful scenic spot. And it was very much not. They were like, I just don't see myself living in this particular, I'm not even going to say if it's a town or city, this particular area, because that area was so shady. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I could have had the opportunity to be like, here's some breweries you should stop at, here's some coffee shops you should stop at. You need to go to this museum. You need to go check out the view from here. Just don't stay away from that.
Yeah.
that every city has an area that you kind of stay away from.
Every city. Yes, totally. That's a universal truth. I mean, that's like my nightmare is someone's just going to take the wrong turn from the airport to campus and they're just going to go through that one stretch. And it's like, no, don't go that way. But like you said, every place has that. And so the more you can do to involve yourself in that process, the better, I think.
So I read the case study about this project, and one of the things that really jumped out to me was that 100% of the people who check in applied. Did that surprise you? Were you expecting that? I mean, 100%, that's every single one.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely surprised it was 100%. I always expected it to be high just by virtue of the way that we deployed it, because we were deploying it in the spring semester. So at that point, it was already being served to a lot of students that had already applied, but not universally. But I knew that would kind of help things in that respect. But yeah, I was very surprised that it was 100% for sure.
That's amazing. I mean, I imagine like we've talked about, like curating this list of spots that will be part of your college experience. There's not really a negative to that. What could somebody see as a downside? And I'm curious about what kind of anecdotal feedback you got from people. Did people tell you they thought it was cool, that they wished other schools did it, or what kind of stuff did you hear on that side?
Oh yeah. I mean, so anecdotally, the resounding kind of theme is just like, I had no idea. That was the thing, is I had no idea that you were this close to Lake Tahoe. I had no idea you had a campus in Lake Tahoe. I had no idea that like winter sports were such a part of the culture of this city or of this area. Another one that's fun is like I had no idea what Basque food was. I don't know if you're familiar with Basque food, but the Basque country kind of straddles Spain and France, and it's a really kind of unique geographical region. And Northern Nevada in particular has a big population of Basque folks here, and we have some of the best Basque restaurants around. And there's this place called Louis Basque Corner. It's on the list. It's a really popular spot for students to go, and so families would go there, and they'd be like, I had no idea what Basque food was. I had no idea I liked Basque food. And so that's the thing, is people they come in and they don't know what to expect, and they're surprised. They're surprised by the places that you take them. They're surprised by the things that the city or the region offers. And that, again, is such a departure from the anecdotal feedback that we were getting prior to the pass. So much of the anecdotal feedback prior was just like, oh yeah, seems nice. The views of the mountains are cool. I didn't love the casino hotel that we stayed at, or the downtown core. You would also have people say you could tell they were staying downtown because they'd come to Nevada and they kind of look at it and be like, okay, where do students spend time off campus? Is your campus safe? And it's like, okay, you spent time in a place where you probably didn't see many students. And so just flipping that script has been really cool to see.
I imagine for Reno, parents might be like, is my kid going to be at a casino all the time?
Yeah, of course.
Is this only nightlife that my student can participate in? I love everything about this. I love everything about it. I'm really curious, what advice would you give to someone who wanted to do the same sort of project for their campus?
Center the prospective student experience, right? Think about them. The one thing that really helped is we have this long experience of working with students and families, and it's like, okay, we know if we have our Nevada Bound on Friday morning, a lot of them are going to fly in Thursday night, and they're going to leave either late Friday afternoon or maybe Saturday morning if they want to see the area. So what do they need in their time here? They need a cool place to eat, they need coffee, then they need a way just to kill a couple hours. So kind of center that experience and think about, because that experience might look different if folks are just coming and going in a single day. Maybe that changes the types of things that you put on your pass, but really center, what is the experience of prospective students and their families when they're coming to campus? And then whenever possible, try to center the student experience. There was a big pull when I was curating this pass to put the places that I thought or that my colleagues thought were cool, interesting, fun places that really represent the city well. And there are lots of places here that I think are cool and interesting, and I want people to go. But the reality is it doesn't necessarily reflect where the 18, the 19, the 20-year-olds are going to be spending their time when they're here in the city, especially if they come to the city, they don't bring their car, right? Where are the places that are walking distance? There were some locations like, well, I think this is really cool, but it is on the other side of town. The reality is many of our students just weren't spending time in those places. So again, just kind of center that student experience and try to make it representative, not only just of your perspective, but really of the student perspective. The last thing that I would really say is even when you're centering the student experience, you really have to engage a really diverse mix of different types of students. There are students that see Reno in a different light than others, and they're looking for different things. Not everybody that comes to this campus is like-minded and thinks, okay, well, I'm here because I like to ski or I like to snowboard and I like to hike and I'm an outdoorsy person. A lot of people come here and they just love the Museum of Modern Art. They love the Art Town Week that we do. They love going to live music performances. Some students want to see your city in kind of a metropolitan light. Some students want to see your city in an outdoorsy adventure destination, and you got to bring all those voices to the table.
And I love that you included students in your decision-making process, like having them say, yeah, we go there. No, that's lame or whatever. It's absolutely, I feel like I would be picking very different things than a 17-year-old, even though, I'm clearly 14 playing Pokemon Go. How much resources did it take to do this? Like, did you spend a whole year building this out and a bunch of staff time, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, this is one area where I'm just going to have to brag on Van Wango as a company for a little bit here. This is that question was one of the very first things that I asked when I met Jay and Mo from the company at NACAC a couple of years ago. It's like, listen, man, we're a public university, and like so many universities around the country, public, private, whatever, it's like we're being asked to do more with less. And so I don't have a ton of money to spend on this partnership. And more importantly, I just don't have a lot of bandwidth to make time for creating a big thing from scratch. And so that was one of the areas where I was really most impressed. Is one, it was incredibly affordable relative to a lot of other things in the space. But the thing I was most impressed was just the investment of time was so much less than I was expecting. I mean, we're talking, we had a pass built. I provided, this kind of initial list of places I thought just kind of as a beta pass and provided it to my contact at Van Wango. And, we had something up by the next day. And that's a testament to the hard work of the people at the company, but also just the how easy it was to use that platform. You're not having to when you think about a destination, you don't have to type out a full description and do a geomarker and upload photos. So much of that is just kind of built in to the platform. And so it really is pretty seamless, pretty easy. It was something where I felt a tremendous return on investment because the investment was pretty small and the return was obviously pretty great.
Yeah, just for that yield lift alone, and particularly when you're talking about thousands of students participating, 4.4, I think you said, that's a ton of students. And we all know, whatever the size of your institution, for some institutions, 10 students is a make or break. For some institutions, it's more like 100 is a make or break. Some it's more, but 4.4% is not an insignificant lift. And when you're thinking about like net tuition revenue and the value of a student across their whole life cycle, that's really tremendous. I'm really going to be interested to see, do you have plans for making adaptations for this next recruitment cycle to the plan?
We do, for sure. I mean, so we're definitely kind of doubling down on Nevada's College Town Pass because of the success. And what I mean by that is we're expanding it to a wider audience. Where last year we were kind of starting midstream, and it was pretty exclusively tied again to our Nevada-bound campus visit program. Now it's unbound. It's going everywhere. Any student that comes and takes just a regular 90-minute campus tour is gonna learn and see about Nevada bound, and the registration process and when they're here. It was part of our admitted student programming. It's going to be part of our kind of fall preview programming that we do. It's just up more readily accessible on the website. So if people are doing kind of their own independent research, they're going to be able to find the pass and do it that way. We wanted to keep it focused this year. We wanted to really be able to, in the first year, we wanted to really be able to measure it, and we wanted it to really drive this one specific thing. But now that we see the power, it's like, okay, we need it not just to drive yield, but this next year we want it to help drive application activity. We want it to help drive a lot of other things. So that's for that pass specifically. Then we're also planning to develop some other passes because the platform itself can be used lots of different ways. And so we're kind of putting together a pass that's going to be a more in-depth campus experience. So we have most of our campus tours are about 90 minutes long, and we've got, a 200-acre campus. So you see a lot of the campus in that 90 minutes, but there's a lot of it that you definitely don't see. And so there's an opportunity there to build a pass that for students that have the time and the inclination and want to earn those points, go take a deeper dive, go into this particular building and go, scan this QR code outside of this lab that we think is really cool, or go spend a little bit of time and learn about the history of John Mackey, whose statue we have on the top side of our quad. Go check out this really cool mineral museum that we have. And so it'll be a fun activity for folks. Okay, you did your 90-minute tour, but you want to spend, another hour, 2 hours walking around this beautiful campus. Well, we're going to have a pass that can help them do that. And we're going to start utilizing some other features as well. So there's an opportunity in Bandwango to, for example, have videos up. And so a student can go and visit a space and pull up a video that tells them, the history of this building. When was it added to the National Register of Historic Places or whatever. And so we're going to try to use some more of those features to make an additional pass that takes you deeper into campus, but also kind of more broadly utilize the tools that Bandwango has.
What you just said about like checking in at a location and getting a video. When I was at Radford University, so this was probably like 2013, there was a faculty member that I was working with to build something that would do that. And it was so challenging, like building the actual technology that would do it and having it consistently work. And we ended up figuring out that we had to like have the student check out one of our devices to go do all of this. I'm like so like almost like teary at thinking about like now the technology exists. I could do this. We just had this dream of it being almost like an augmented reality tour, some billion years ago, and to be able to just like do it now. I'm so jealous.
Right.
That's amazing.
We're there. No, it is incredible that the technology is there. There's an opportunity to use it for, like in the way that I'm describing, but also my understanding is there are other universities that are using Bandwango just as kind of a general campus tour tool. So if folks come and for whatever reason they can't get a tour guide that day, you use the GPS tool. So it's going to tell you exactly where to go. Scan the QR code when you arrive. It'll give you the history, kind of give you the spiel, give you whatever, and you just keep moving along. So yeah, it's I agree. It's totally it's really exciting that the technology is there to put something like that together pretty seamless, because it wasn't seamless whenever you were at Radford, it sounds like.
No, it was a whole thing. I think the reason we had to have them check out phones is because they had to be on the Wi-Fi for some reason, but then you had to be a certain distance or certain proximity to the building in order to like trigger the video to pop up. It was so clunky. But I will say, like these types of endeavors, even what you're doing right now, will probably feel clunky in 12 years. It'll be like, now we just have them built into our glasses. And when we walk somewhere, a video just takes over the whole screen. I'm here for it. I'm here for discovering what kind of wild technology is next. If people are like, hey, I want to chat with you about your experience, I want to pick your brain, where can they find you?
Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn, Justin Bouldt. Email me directly, jboult@unr.edu. I love growing my network and talking to folks, and anybody that thinks this is something they want to do, I'd love to be able to share my experience and help in any way that I can.
And I hope people do reach out, because this, to me, when I heard about this, I was like, this is really kind of innovative. I don't think a lot of people are doing this yet. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity here to have something that will make you stand out in the marketplace, and be kind of like a little edge of distinction to have people explore your community and your city. Listeners, as always, you can find me on LinkedIn at Jaime Hunt, Jaime. You can also find me on my website at solvehighered.com, and you can find my book at heartoverhypebook.com. Please do reach out. I always enjoy hearing from listeners. It's one of my favorite things. And until then, let's go bust some silos. Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed CMO. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and contact drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.